Democrats are desperate to shame President Trump any way they can. They're now making up complete lies about the demolition over near the White House and the ballroom that President Trump is building with his own money and the money of his wealthy friends and donors. Also, major immigration stories coming out that the Democrats don't want you to know about. I'm going to jump right into the news because there's a lot to get through today. Okay, on immigration and border security, a 21-year-old illegal immigrant from India, Jashanpreet Singh, who crossed the southern border in March of 2022 and was released under the Biden administration's alternative to detention policy, has been arrested for gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. I'm going to show you guys the video. It's very hard to watch. I've shown you several. Authorities say Singh, who had no legal status, was driving a semi-truck on I-10 in San Bernardino, California, where he failed to brake and slammed into the back of multiple cars, causing a fiery multi-vehicle crash that killed 3 people and injured several others. Toxicology reports now confirm that he was impaired while driving. ICE has filed a detainer in order to take him into custody, but they are trying to block him, saying that he is a victim and needs to be protected. Now, the incident was captured on Dashcam, and it has reignited concerns about how many illegal immigrants that don't speak English, shouldn't be in the country, are driving commercial vehicles with no knowledge of how to drive, how to speak English, or read basic signs. Now, in a separate case, another illegal immigrant, Harjinder Singh, crossed the border in 2018 and somehow received a California semi-truck commercial driver's license, despite being unable to speak any words in English or recognize basic signs. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy responded saying, "I put states on notice to enforce the Trump administration English language requirement and that there should be checkpoints. California is one of the only states giving out driver's licenses to illegal immigrants." Why are they doing that? It's because they want them to vote, but it's killing Americans. And last week, the Trump transportation announced it would withhold more than $40 million in federal highway safety funds for California if they didn't start enforcing the English-only rule. So we need these people to be American citizens, have a work visa, understand basic English, and how to drive a truck. Now, this is sad, but let me go ahead and show you this crash footage.
Exclusive Dashcam video, which is now the subject of several law enforcement investigations. It shows the moment a red semi-truck plowed into a number of vehicles on the westbound 10 freeway in Ontario just after 1 p.m. yesterday. The CHP told the LA Times the driver of this big rig is a 21-year-old man who is now under arrest on suspicion of driving under the influence of drugs. A total of 4 semis were involved and also 4 passenger vehicles, one of them exploding in flames. 3 people were killed and 4 others were taken to local hospitals. This horrific crash happened just east of the 15 freeway and shut down all westbound lanes for more than 12 hours. Thousands of drivers were trapped in the gridlock just as the evening commute was getting underway.
Okay, that's hard to watch, but you guys need to know the truth of what's going on. Now, next, let's turn to some international anti-drug operations. Yesterday, the Trump administration carried out its first strike in Pacific waters, targeting a suspected drug smuggling vessel off the coast of Colombia and killed 2 people on board the vessel. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the boat was known by our intelligence to be involved in illicit narcotic smuggling and was traveling along a key trafficking route. This is the 8th strike since September, with at least 34 now dead, as the administration intensifies their war on drugs coming in from South America. Secretary Hegseth compared the cartel to terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda, saying, "Narco-terrorists intending to bring poison to our shores will find no safe harbor anywhere in our hemisphere. There will be no refuge and no forgiveness, only justice. Now, the U.S. has focused operations around Venezuela and the Caribbean. Last week, Trump authorized CIA covert mission into Venezuela, blaming its regime for sending drugs and releasing prisoners into the United States. Critics, including lawmakers and human rights groups, are questioning the legality of these force strikes, calling them extrajudicial killings, saying that even though these are criminals bringing drugs to America, they deserve their day in court. Colombian President Gustavo Petro accused the U.S. of killing civilians in September, calling it murder. Trump fired back on social media, labeling Petro an illegal drug leader and accusing him of misusing U.S. aid. Venezuela's defense minister, Vladimir Padrino, warned of warmongering and said the U.S. is preparing for regime change in Venezuela. Well, I've been telling you guys all about this story for several months. I'm one of the few channels bringing you the truth on this. While these designations don't directly authorize lethal force, Trump has signaled that ground operations in Venezuela could. Let me show you two videos so that you better understand this situation. Pretty crazy. Now, some are saying this has to do with election rigging, human trafficking, and drug trafficking, but I'll continue to keep you abreast on what's really going on. But as of right now, Trump has authorized the military as well as the CIA to bring force into Venezuela and Colombia. Okay, speaking of crime, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard told Jesse Waters on Fox News that the Trump administration is actively going after cartel members that seek to harm Americans. Listen to what she had to say.
This is happening on multiple fronts. I can speak to a couple of them. Is just recognizing the really drastic reduction of drug trafficking across our borders. For example, we've seen the trafficking of fentanyl across our borders reduce drastically. You're seeing these cartels and these narco traffickers afraid because for the first time, they're actually seeing in President Trump someone who means what he says, that he's going to stop them from putting the American people's lives at risk. In my organization, ODNI, we have our counterterrorism teams who are working very hard, both in the United States and across the border, working to share actionable intelligence with our U.S. law enforcement agencies, as well as Mexico's law enforcement elements, and successfully going after and capturing people like this Sinaloa cartel boss El Pato and his money launderers. This is having an incredible impact, once again, on President Trump keeping his promise to the American people that he will make this country safe again for themselves and our kids.
All right, pretty crazy, right? I'm glad that Trump has put these people in place that take serious keeping America safe and making America great. We don't need these drugs. We don't need the human trafficking. We don't need the cartels intimidating us, putting bounties on DHS and Border Patrol agents. Okay, now on the energy front, the Trump administration has imposed new sanctions on Russia's two largest oil companies, Rosneft and Lukoil, as part of its push to put pressure on Moscow and Vladimir Putin to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Ukraine says we are ready to come to the peace table, but Putin says, I think we'll take a little bit more. Now, the Treasury Department said that most targets Russia's lack of serious commitment to a peace process, aiming to cut off funding that fuels the conflict. Now, President Trump has been saying this even when he was out of office. You cut off the oil money, and Russia doesn't have the money or the economy to sustain this war. Yes, they have the bodies. Yes, they have the ammunition, but they don't have the money. Now, Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, said, now is the time to stop the killing and for an immediate ceasefire, adding that the U.S. Treasury is ready to take further action if needed to support President Trump's efforts to end yet another war. A senior White House official told NBC News the sanctions come after a planned Trump-Putin meeting fell apart. So Trump said, I'm not going to waste any more time on Vladimir Putin. I was acting in good faith. I have tried many times to end this war. I've had multiple hours-long conversation. I even brought Vladimir Putin to the United States of America. And what does he do? He mocks us. He continues this war. So now they are ramping up, going after the funding structure of the Russia-Ukraine war. All right, the White House. Some of you guys have been asking me to look into this because Democrats are saying, this is our house and President Trump is stomping all over it. He's demolishing the White House. Well, he's actually just going after one wing, the East Wing, right? And I'll tell you more about that. But some of you have been saying, hey, Democrats are saying that this is taxpayer money and that it's being abused like has been done in the past. But that's not true. And I'll go through that with you as well. So the Trump administration got permission and put forward an order where they have demolished the East Wing of the White House. This was done over the weekend. They are doing this because it needed renovation anyway. And also, many presidents in the past, including a couple of them that are alive, have complained that they've had to do outside activities. They are dependent on the weather. They can't do very much during the winter. And so President Trump said, I'll put up my own money and I'll get some of my wealthy friends to help cover the cost so that no taxpayer money is going to this. This will be my gift to America. So they're now building a 90,000 square foot ballroom covered by President Trump and wealthy donors. The price tag on the project is around $300 million. That includes demolition, cleanup, and then rebuilding. All of it will be covered by private donors that love America and support President Trump. This is how most presidential libraries are built. So President Trump will have a library. He's also going to have this ballroom. Crews began tearing down the East Wing, starting with the outer wall, despite President Trump's earlier promise that the ballroom would not interfere with the current building. The East Wing was originally built in 1902, so it's 123 years old, and the last time it was renovated was in 1942. Now, currently, First Lady Melania Trump and her office staff are using that. There's also a movie theater. That's about it. Every now and then they'll do ceremonies or medal presentations. The Underground Emergency Operations Center of the White House also needs to be upgraded. So there's a lot that needed to be upgraded over the last 60 or 70 years. Now, public tours are on hold until the new ballroom is done. Some people are butthurt about that. The White House is brushing off the criticism as manufactured outrage. And that's exactly what it is. They have nothing else to go against President Trump because he's done such a great job on the border, election integrity, bringing down the price of gas and food, that they literally are just anything he does, they immediately try to find a reason to smack talk or try to embarrass him in the public. But this is something that needed to be done. Now, this is going to be one of the finest ballrooms, according to President Trump. So I'm going to show you what he had to say. And then right after that, he immediately addresses the criticism of what he's doing.
We determined that after really a tremendous amount of study with some of the best architects in the world, we determined that really knocking it down, trying to use a little section. You know, the East Wing was not much. There was not much left from the original. It was over the course of 100 years, it was changed. The columns were removed, and it was a much different building. Then a story was added on in 1948, 1949. There was a story added on, which was not particularly nice. And the building was very, very much changed from what it was originally. It was never thought of as being much. It was a very small building. And rather than allowing that to hurt a very expensive, beautiful building that, frankly, they've been after for years. You have that. I brought these along so people could see, but It's, there's a relative, nobody's actually seen anything quite like it. I think it'll be one of the great ballrooms anywhere in the world. It's about $300 million. It's set to do many, many things, including meetings of foreign leaders, including the honoring of foreign leaders. You can see this. This is a plan. If it's got tables so that you honor a foreign leader, we have a proper space. Right now, we have a space that with tables holds about 79 people. And this is a proper kind of a thing. Now, what the White House was doing, as you know, is they were putting tents out on the lawn. This is an interior shot of the ballroom. I think there'll be nothing like it. And it's being paid for 100% by me and some friends of mine, donors to it. The government's paying absolutely nothing. We're also working with the military on it because they want to make sure everything's perfect. And the military is very much involved in this. They want to make sure everything is absolutely beautiful. You can see the kind of interiors that we're talking about. That's an interior of the ballroom. And it's the highest level. And you see it goes beautifully with the White House. I mean, the mix is beautiful. So over the years, many presidents have made changes. This obviously would be the biggest change, but this was something they've wanted for at least 150 years. Many of you have gone to the events where they had, as an example, President Xi, or they had, a leader of one of the countries, including the king and the queen from your favorite country.
Absolutely.
Frankly. But where they'd be honored, and there'd be in a tent out on the lawn, and it would rain, and it was a disaster. Brian's shaking his head. You know what I'm talking about. And so I thought I'd bring this out because this is going to be probably the finest ballroom ever built, and we're doing it no cost to the country. It's being the money's being put in by me and donors, very great patriots, actually. And the spirit on the building of it is amazing. We are using little sections of footings and various other things, but that's sort of irrelevant. In order to do it properly, we had to take down the existing structure. The way it was shown, it looked like we were touching the White House. We don't touch the White House. That's a bridge, a glass bridge, going from the White House to the ballroom. Then you get into the lobby of the ballroom, and then you go into the the main room. And it's something that has gotten incredible reviews.
All right, now, listen, it costs money to do buildings. It costs money to do renovations. Usually that is taxpayer money. I mean, you can just Google this yourself. Obama spent over $300 million upgrading parts of the White House and Washington, D.C. He also put in a basketball court that cost millions of dollars, right? So this is not unheard of. The difference is Republicans and MAGA that didn't exist at the time, they didn't give him a hard time because it's normal as part of a presidency. But because it's Donald Trump, they're pushing back extensively. But let me know your thoughts. If this is truly being paid for by wealthy donors, then it's a great upgrade. And it sounds like nothing's been done since 1942 on a building that was put in 1901. So it needed the renovations anyway. All right, let me know what you guys think about this. Also, make sure to check out today's earlier update where I briefed you on the fact that the Democrats, they've been caught in another big lie. They are keeping the government shut on purpose. 12 times they voted against reopening it. And why? Because they're pocketing millions of dollars. Go check out that video. I'll make sure to put it at the end of this one. I love you guys. Thanks for supporting the channel. If you're not a subscribed member, hit that subscribe button right now. It's totally free, and I would love to be your source of truth and news. All right, stay amazing, and I'll see you on the next video.